My professor accused me of plagiarism because my paper was too good. 10 years later, I published a book on the same topic and mailed him a signed copy. My senior year of college, I took an advanced literature seminar with a notoriously difficult professor, the kind who prided himself on failing at least 30% of his students each semester. Professor Reynolds had published several books and never let anyone forget it, often referring to his distinguished colleagues at Harvard, though he taught at a mid-tier state university. For our final paper, we had to analyze feminist themes in Victorian literature. I chose to focus on female madness as rebellion and Jane Eyre, and the yellow wallpaper not particularly groundbreaking, but I was genuinely passionate about the topic. I spent weeks in the library going through academic journals and finding sources beyond the standard criticism. I outlined, drafted, and revised that paper more carefully than anything I'd written before. When I submitted it, I was actually proud of my work, something I rarely felt in his class. 2 weeks later, instead of returning our graded papers, Professor Reynolds asked me to stay after class. My stomach dropped had I completely misunderstood the assignment. "Miss Collins," he said once everyone had left, "I need to discuss your paper with you." He placed my 28-page analysis on the desk between us. "I'm concerned about the authorship of this work." I stared at him confused. "I don't understand. This paper," he tapped it with his finger, "is written at a level well beyond what I've seen from you in class discussions or your previous assignments. The analysis is too sophisticated for an undergraduate." I felt my face grow hot. "Are you accusing me of plagiarism? Let's call it academic dishonesty," he replied. "Perhaps you had significant help, or perhaps you found this analysis elsewhere. Either way, I cannot accept work that isn't genuinely yours." I was stunned. I had never cheated in my life. "I wrote every word of that paper myself," I insisted. "I can show you my drafts, my research notes." He cut me off. "That won't be necessary. R is what I am willing to do. You can either take a 0 on this assignment, which will likely mean failing the course, or you can rewrite a simpler paper on a different topic by the end of the week, but that's not fair," I protested, feeling tears threatening. "You are punishing me for doing good work." "I am being quite generous," he said coldly. "Most cases of academic dishonesty go straight to the ethics committee. Consider this a learning experience." Humiliated and angry, I chose to rewrite the paper. I stayed up for 3 straight nights working on a deliberately simplified analysis of symbolism in Wuthering Heights, dumbing down my writing and limiting my sources to the most obvious critics. I received a burrow with his comment, "This seems more aligned with your capabilities." I graduated the following month and tried to forget about it, but the experience left a mark. I had been punished, not for doing poor work but for exceeding a professor's limited expectations of me. 4 years later, I was accepted to a prestigious graduate program in English literature. My thesis advisor encouraged me to expand on my original analysis of female madness in Victorian literature, the very paper Professor Reynolds had rejected. With her mentor, my research deepened and evolved. Last year, 10 years after that humiliating experience, my expanded thesis was published by Oxford University Press as Madness as Rebellion, Female Agency in Victorian Literature. The book received positive reviews in several academic journals, including one where Professor Reynolds sits on the editorial board. After my first royalty check arrived, I purchased a hardcover copy of my book, inscribed it with a personal message, and mailed it to Professor Reynolds at the university, where he still teaches. The inscription read, "With gratitude for teaching me that sometimes the best response to being underestimated is to exceed expectations anyway. This is the paper I would have submitted if you had believed in me, your former student, who was capable of more than a B." 3 weeks later, I received a brief email from him. "Congratulations on your publication. Perhaps I was mistaken about your capabilities."